Here is the latest news for today on the Kursk direction. The Ukrainians continue to advance in all directions in the Kursk region, conducting offensives and consolidating their positions. In the deepest part from the border, Ukrainians are expanding their territory to avoid encirclement. In the course of the expansion, they managed to completely capture Durovka and Olgovka, as well as enter the village of Vitreno. Ukrainian forces continue to advance to the south, enabling them to create two encircles of enemy forces in the towns of Zhuravli, Kalinov, and Perebki. In the east, they managed to occupy parts of Russky Perekna and Cherkassky Perekna. However, the most interesting actions are taking place in the village of Koroneva, which Ukrainian forces have recently reached. Here, the Russians have concentrated a very large number of troops because of the size of the village. Therefore, it is not a good idea to go directly to the town. If you look at the location of Koroneva, you can see forests where, as the Azov Brigade showed, the Ukrainians are making good progress. This advance will make it possible to reach the route used by the enemy to supply ammunition and provisions to Koroneva and block it. There is no need to worry about attacks from the left because there is a river there that will serve as a natural barrier. The right flank consists mostly of fields where it is almost impossible to erect defensive structures and repel attacks by Ukrainian troops. But it is not only on this front that the Russians have problems. Russian groups of 1,000 to 2,000 soldiers are semi-encircled. The biggest problem here is that this group is cut off by the same river. The only 3 bridges were destroyed by Ukrainians using ATACMS missiles earlier, and when the Russians tried to deploy pontoon crossings, they were destroyed almost immediately. So the Russian troops were in a very bad situation, unlike the Ukrainians. Here they have access to large areas to launch massive offensives and wait for the enemy to run out of ammunition and provisions. The only way out for the enemy is to retreat back with infantry and abandon the equipment that cannot cross the river. The most interesting situation is in the village of Tiokino. Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance groups have already conducted operations there, but so far without regular troops. The village in turn is semi-encircled by Ukrainian troops, which gives the Ukrainians a great advantage. The villages of Tiotkino and Popovo-Liaki can be surrounded after covering only 8 kilometers. After being surrounded, the Russians will only have to surrender when they run out of ammunition and provisions. The overall advance allowed the Ukrainians not only to capture a lot of enemy equipment and improve their overall position on the front, but also to bring artillery and missile systems closer to destroy enemy air defense systems. This is how, for example, the Russian RLM-M radar of the Nebo SVU radar complex was destroyed near the city of Kursk. This complex can detect targets at a distance of the entire Kursk region and costs about $100 million. And judging by recent events, this destruction played an important role.